Have you ever looked at a plant and just kind of seen it as a piece of green decoration? Well, it turns out they're anything but passive. They are active, brilliant survivors, and they're following a super complex recipe for life. So today, we're going to break down that exact recipe.
So let's get right to it. What does a plant really eat? We might think sunlight, water, soil. But the real answer is so much more specific and honestly, way more interesting.
The real food, the stuff that actually builds a plant, is a specific set of inorganic nutrients. These are the basic chemical elements. Think of them like the fundamental Lego bricks that a plant has to pull from the world around it to build everything, from its leaves and stems right down to its flowers.
Now, this is a really great way to think about these nutrients. It's kind of like cooking a gourmet meal. On one side, you have your macronutrients. These are the main course, right? The potatoes, the protein, the stuff you need a lot of. And on the other side, you've got the micronutrients. These are the essential spices. You only need a tiny, tiny pinch, but without them, the entire recipe just falls flat.
So this is basically the plant's main shopping list, the absolute must-have macronutrients it's got to get from the soil. You've got nitrogen, which is crucial for building proteins and chlorophyll. That's the molecule that makes plants green. Then there's phosphorus, which is key for making DNA and growing strong roots. Potassium? It's like the plant's general manager, turning on enzymes and controlling water. And magnesium? Get this, it is the star player, the central atom in every single chlorophyll molecule. No magnesium, no green.
Of course, the most basic ingredients of all are also the easiest ones to find. I'm talking carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. These make up most of the plant's body, and they're just floating around for free in the air as carbon dioxide and in the water.
Okay, but what about all those other critical ingredients, the ones from the soil? What happens when the pantry is bare and a plant just can't find what it needs? All right, take a look at this. This is a plant that's got everything it needs, especially plenty of nitrogen. It's healthy, it's vibrant, it's got that deep, rich green color. This plant is absolutely thriving. And, well, this is a plant without it. Wow. The difference is just night and day, right? When a plant is starving for nitrogen, it literally can't make enough chlorophyll. The result is this condition called chlorosis, where the leaves, especially the older ones, start turning yellow. It's a very clear, very visible cry for help. And what's so cool is that plants show really specific symptoms for different problems. As we just saw, a lack of nitrogen gives you that classic yellowing, but a phosphorus deficiency, that often causes stunted roots and these weird reddish or even purple spots. And a potassium shortage, you'll often see the yellowing start right along the edges of the leaves. It's like a diagnostic chart.
So the problem might show up in the leaves, but the solution is all the way down in the soil. So it's time to go inside the plant's amazing kitchen, its root system.
And the real workhorses down here are the root hairs. Now, these aren't the big, thick roots you see. No. They're microscopic little extensions that cover the roots, and their job is to massively increase the surface area for absorption. Think of it like swapping a single drinking straw for millions of tiny ones to soak up every last drop of water and minerals.
Once those minerals are absorbed, they go on a very specific journey. First, they enter through the outer skin, the epidermis. Then they travel through a storage layer called the cortex. But then they hit a critical security checkpoint, the endodermis, before they finally reach the vascular cylinder, which is basically the plant's central plumbing system.
Let's zoom in on that security checkpoint because this is brilliant. It's called the Casparian strip, and you can seriously think of it like a bouncer at a super exclusive club. It's this waterproof band that forces everything to pass through the gatekeeper cells. You can't just sneak around them. This gives the plant absolute control over which minerals get in and which ones are told to stay out. Okay, so that's the standard playbook. But what about plants that live in the toughest environments you can imagine? Places where the soil is so poor, it's almost useless. Well, those plants have to break the rules. They have to get creative. And here are two of those creative strategies. On one side, you've got your parasitic plants. We can call them the food thief, and for good reason. On the other side, you've got epiphytic plants, the polite house guest. Totally different approaches. Let's look at the thieves first. A famous example is the Rafflesia. Its specialized roots literally drill into the host plant's vascular system, into its plumbing, and just start siphoning off water and nutrients. The parasite thrives, it grows huge, while the poor host is often left to wither and can even die. Now for the much more polite epiphytes, like orchids and bird's nest ferns. Their strategy is just simple elegance. They grow way up high on other plants, but not to steal anything. They're just trying to get better access to sunlight. They make all their own food, and they don't harm their hosts at all. They're basically just finding a great apartment with a nice view.
But there is one survival strategy that is even more dramatic that leads us to this wild question. Why on earth would a plant become a predator? The answer? Well, it's all about the hunt for one critical ingredient. An ingredient that they just cannot find in the nutrient-poor, soggy soil where they live. Nitrogen. It all comes back to that essential macronutrient from the very beginning, the one that builds proteins and powers that vibrant green color. And this is their incredible solution. Plants like the pitcher plant and the famous Venus flytrap, they live in these marshy bogs where the soil is incredibly low in nitrogen. So they evolved to trap and digest insects to supplement their diet. And here's the key point. They still do photosynthesis for energy. Hunting isn't their main meal. It's the essential vitamin supplement they need to survive.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? First, plants are active chemists, not just passive decorations. Their root systems are these complex, highly efficient machines. And the simple need for nutrients has driven some of the most unbelievable survival strategies on our planet. So next time you see a yellow leaf, remember, it's not just a color change, it's a distress signal. Which leaves us with one last thought. If plants have evolved such complex and elegant solutions to the fundamental problems of just staying alive, what other incredible lessons are they just waiting to teach us?